How many personalities does a commission authority need to get a job done and get everyone online?
Uh, let's see. A lot. Um, that's a great question. It's funny you say that because a lot of times I'll work with people and they'll say, "Oh, that's another Marcus personality I met today." It's draining. You try to, the golden rule is basically treat treat people how they want to be treated, treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah,
But everybody seems to have their own personality trait
yeah,
that and remember, we're in the time and the age of like, remember Finding Nemo, mine, like it's me, cater to me, and you walk into a project and it's just like you have so many personalities. And I mean, you literally have to be, Dr. Phil, Tony Robbins, Oprah, everybody. I mean, you
yeah.
you got to put on all these different hats, all these different times. One person wants you to be a bulldog, one person wants you to be basically this, like, talk to me. The other, it's so draining, Adam. But in order to be successful, it's one of the golden rules that you actually have to be able to relate. You have to be able to be malleable. You have to
Yeah.
be flexible, and you have to read the room and just bend the knee and
Yeah. So
put on this fake smile.
the thing to take away from that is, right, everything you just described there is nothing to do with engineering. These are all
No,
soft skills,
no,
right?
not one
So
bit.
if you're leading a job as a CxA or a commissioning manager, you've got to be able to read that room, work out who needs a hug and who needs a shove. You've got to be everything to everybody, but you've got to be able to get everyone in alignment and enroll them in the job and the solution at hand, right? And
Yes,
that means you have to be different things to different people sometimes.
yes, and sometimes literally, you walk out of a meeting and it's just like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, or it's just like, I don't know. You got, just let me say that you got to have friends to be able to talk to.
Yeah. You got to be able to, yeah. Also, it's lonely at the top, right? Is what you're saying there. And sometimes you've got to be able to vent.
Because most of the time you literally have those moments, right? Everybody in this business has it. Like, you're walking away going, "Am I insane?" Like, you just need someone to say, "It's not you." You're like, okay.
Yeah.
You literally have these moments. You're like, "I am losing my mind. Like, is this real? Is this happening? Like, this just happened." You're like, it's
So what you're talking about there is sometimes when you're in that meeting and you're bashing your head against what it seems to be a bashing your head against the wall and we're getting nowhere, you've got to be able to reframe something and re-ask something and readdress the issue or the question in a different way. That is a skill set that you get zero instruction on
no.
in university or college, right? This is something you learn or you choose to learn.
Well, like, it's interesting you just said that. So one of the things when I teach my students, I always tell them, I go, okay, so college is where you learn how to fail, because if you fail here, you just might get, a C, right?
Yeah,
Or a D. But if you fail in the real world, you will lose your job. I'm like,
yeah.
so how many people are willing to talk in here and are willing to fail? I go, this is your laboratory. Please fail right now.
But success is about, again, enrollment, getting people aligned, explaining difficult concepts in a way that everyone can understand and move them forward. And it's got to be, when you're leading a meeting or a team, you got to be doing it, with intention. You got to be moving towards something. You got to get everyone on that mission to move forward.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
Okay. And so they always, I remember, like, when I was going through, architecture, and I remember, I'll never forget, like, I could get this wrong, but it's like, I believe it was Leonardo da Vinci, basically, on his deathbed, he said, "I'm still learning." Right.
yeah,
So it's just like, they always say, well, you get paid the most right before you die. Right. It's horrible to say that, but it's just because you're learning. I bring this up because the most valuable thing that you can bring to any job as a commissioning engineer, architect, is experience, is to be able to see it failed in so many different ways where you're like, I saw it. So you and I, we walk into a room, right? Where we go? We go to points of failure. Yep, no, yep. Look at that. We don't go, oh my God, look at that beautiful paneling system. Oh, look at the facade. Or like, gonna fail, it's gonna drip, it's gonna leak, it's gonna break. No, look at that. Morbid. Like we're just negative, but we're not negative, right? We're positively negative. I don't know how to put this.
Positively negative. Yeah. So what you're talking about there is good commissioning people are pattern recognition people, right? I've seen this movie before. This is the problem. This is how we can solve it. So the weak people go, this is the problem. Look how clever I am. The good people go, this is the problem. I've seen this before. This is how we solve it. This is how we move on. We on board? Let's go.
Everything, listen, everything is designed to fail.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it is. Like nothing lasts forever. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like everything fails, and it could fail early. I mean, think about it. You could buy like 100 cars could come off the line, all built the same way, and 7 could fail in the first year, and they're perfect. And the other ones are like, they last for 20. They didn't mean to, right? So, and then, you don't know what happened. And remember, human to err is human, right? To forgive is divine. So it's just things. It's like humans error. We screw up. We make a mistake. We do this. That's why we have E's and O's and everything else. That's why commissioning exists. We find it, we make it better, we optimize. But you always have to understand, and you can't ever take that like that this staunch approach. You're wrong. You know what I mean? It's just like always try to find a way middle to work through it. You just gotta
don't be the wrecking ball. So look, let's just list off some of the personalities then that a commissioning authority or manager has to have. They got to be a leader.
Yep.
They got to be a problem solver. They got to be an educator. They got to be a teacher. They got to be a pattern recognition machine. They got to be
a therapist.
They got to have empathy and compassion. They've also got to be hard and tough and be a drill instructor sometimes, right?
Yep.
They've also got to be consequences sometimes. These are all the things you have to have, the faces you have to present at different times.
You're 100% right. And it's like when you're in a room full of 5, 10, 20, 30 people sometimes, or you're running a phone call, or you're doing this, you're doing that. Like it's easy to get lost in the minutia. And, once you feel like, you've gone down this point where all people want to do is like throw a dart, like just, okay, next item, like we'll come back to this. I'll put it in the notes, but you have to understand when to save someone, when to, throw them a little bit, and you can't learn that by basically just like, I don't know, osmosis. You've got to be out there. And so junior folks, like you got to bring them with you as much as you can. You got to work with them. But at the same time, like in this day and age, when we're trying to be competitive and interns are, we're charging $120 an hour for an interns, we're paying from this. It's tough because, the fees just keep on. I mean, there's so many parts of this.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, a change order is not a bad thing if it's justifiable and defensible, right? Because if something did change and then you have to be compensated for that time and the material, then don't be weird about it. You know what I mean? Like just sit down, talk about it, say why. Most owners say, you know what? I understand. And it's not going to be, undue, enrichment. You're never trying to screw someone over. Seriously, everybody has a job. You're trying to work with each other. But just remember, and an old boss of mine, a really great boss, he always said 2 things to me. One, he said, I'm only as successful as you. So what do you need to be successful? That's one. And then 2, he always said, Marcus, just because it's your priority doesn't mean it's their priority.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And I slowly realize that now, like when someone doesn't get back to a call or an email or this or that, don't wait, be proactive, always be proactive, always be delivering, always email, even if they don't get back to you, get back to them, be professional, don't wait. Always be proactive and never reactive.
Yeah. So to summarize then, basically multiple personalities are required to be successful at this job, period, right?
Yeah, I had a professor of mine years ago, and amazing guy, and he was from India, and I'll never forget. Like he wrote an email, and he's like, Marcus, I wrote an email. I'm like, you wrote 1? He's like, well, it's rude. I don't want to write more. I'm like, I write 10. You know what I mean? I'll call him 5 times. I mean, like literally, like I tell people, didn't you put do not answer yet? It's Marcus. I mean, but my job is to follow up. My job is to follow up. And that's what everybody needs to understand, that we help drive and connect and bridge things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a soft skill and a hard skill, right?
It's tough because at the end of the day, I mean, literally, you know, I go home and cry to my pillow sometimes, but I mean, I get over it because at the end of the day, I know that I'm doing my best
Yeah.
and trying.